Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Franklin here, and I'm gonna show you why Espathra has the potential of being overpowered in Pokemon singles competitive play. It's your boy Franklin. What's up? Thank you guys so much for all the support. Like and subscribe, and we can get more content like this out. It definitely motivates me when you guys give me kind words, appreciative support. It pushes me making content like this every day, and it's been almost every day, so I appreciate you guys. So let's get right into this Pokemon. So at first glance, you start noticing that Espathra doesn't really have great defensive capabilities. You see the 95 base HP and it maxes out at 394, which is decent, but then you start realizing its attack is not good, its physical defense isn't good, its special defense really isn't good, and speed is at the level of Garchomp, the same speed tier as Garchomp, so it's okay. And special attack, of course, 101 base special attack is nothing to scoff at, but I do think it could be something that is left to be desired. Until you realize this Pokemon has access to Speed Boost. Now, if you don't know what Speed Boost is, it's probably one of the top 10, maybe top 5 best abilities of all time. It allows the user Pokemon to gain +1 speed at the end of each full turn on the field. And then you start realizing more in depth, this Pokemon has access to Calm Mind and has access to stored power. Granted, it is a stab boosted stored power. So let's say with stored power, you get 20 base power for each of the users. Stat boost, speed boost guarantees 20 right there. And you got Calm Mind that gives you 40 because the raise in special attack and special defense by one stage. Your stored powers are starting looking pretty powerful. And the fact that this Pokemon stored power is access to stab psychic, whew, you can forget about this. This Pokemon is about to maul a lot of Pokemon out of the OU competitive game. Now, shout outs to those who pretty much showcase these sets. I stole them. Of course, I'm not going to admit that I am a very creative team builder, but I do like using other people's team to get an idea of what the competitive metagame is like. I'm currently about 40 games in. I think these two sets are the best that I've used, and I just wanted to showcase them. So we have the Calm Mind plus Protect set. It enables Espathra to essentially, build up guaranteed speed to allow it to outspeed Choice Scarf users from the get-go. Obviously, Dragapult still being the abnormal one, but Choice Scarf Dragapult isn't really that good right now, as I think Choice Specs is a lot better. However, once you start rolling the ball with Calm Mind, it also has access to Tera Blast, and Tera Blast is actually really good because I think the only two Tera typings this Pokemon should be using is Tera typing Fairy and Tera typing Fighting. And so Tera Blast allows it to plow through the steels and dark types that this Pokemon might have a problem with in the event that stored power cannot break through those Pokemon. Of course, stored power doesn't work against dark types. I think this set is really good. However, I do think instead of Protect, it'd be a substitute, but obviously that's just team building. Let's say, for example, you have a Cyclizar, which is really a good partner for this Pokemon. You can set up a substitute using Shed Tail, and then you switch out into this Pokemon, hide it behind a substitute, and you're now protected by status moves like Toxic, Thunder Wave, which can cripple your Pokemon. I do recommend a Rapid Spinner or a Defogger in order to prevent hazards accumulating damage, but you do have leftovers, which is really good. You also have access to Roost. However, if you're going to use Roost, you're going to have to lose your one of two attacking moves, which I don't think is going to be that beneficial considering you still have leftovers. So there's the set, and here's the other set that I've used. Shout out to Finchinator. I believe I got it from him, so excuse me if I definitely did not give credit to that person, or to the right person I should say. Calm Mind Substitute, this is probably the best set overall as well that you can use in OU, so I would probably put the fighting one as number 1. Maybe change out Protect with Substitute, but this set has been the second best that I've used, and I think a Substitute is much better than Protect due to the fact, as I mentioned, you can behind a Substitute in order to prevent status moves. Dazzling Gleam with Tera type Fairy allows you to plow through dark types, which is the number 1 key matchup, especially against Pokemon such as King Gambit, which do have Sucker Punch, and you will be guaranteed outspeeding it after the +1 speed boost regardless. I do want to say that this Pokemon can also be used as a late game sweeper. It's something that doesn't need to be set up right off the bat, but if you look at your team building and team matchups, if you really know how to read that first turn, like depending on what it is, I think this Pokemon has the capability of sweeping everybody else. I think the best team that this Pokemon benefits the most is from hyper offensive or offensive teams, which I will showcase to you right now. So looking at this replay, for example, you can see that this ostrich looking Pokemon has a pretty good matchup against my opponent here. Great Tusk, can't really deal with it very well. Dragapult, if you're able to get a Calm Mind and Speed Boost and Terrasilize the fighting, you avoid the potential Sucker Punch and the Ghost typing, and you're able to obliterate this in pieces. Toxapex isn't really that great of a Pokemon anymore, and there's probably going to be a future video as to why there is. Even though it has really good defenses, yeah, stored power is just going to obliterate this Pokemon. Corviknight could potentially do something if it does have Brave Bird. A lot of these Pokemon nowadays in this generation either run U-Turn, Defog, Roost, and it has to run either Brave Bird or Body Press depending on team composition. So Espathra, that's a pretty good matchup. And then we got the fish. We got Chi-Yu here that is fighting in Dark, and if your Tera typing is fighting, GG's to my opponent. And then you have the final Pokemon, the Minecraft-looking Pokemon, the Garganacl. Pretty much, Espathra is able to deal with this very quickly with boosted stored powers. So now I'll show you what happens as Espathra used as a late-game sweeper. And you can see my team. Obviously, you see the teams are pretty outdated due to the fact that you see some certain banned Pokemon, like Iron Bundle and Palafin. I think Palafin being gone made this Pokemon as well. I would say, let me retract my statement. I think Pokemon's being banned, like Fluttermane, Palafin, made Espathra really good and was able to just plow through after certain speed boosts and Calm Mind. So let's take a look at this replay. So you see here Espathra's main problem is Magnezone, as it doesn't have the power to break through. This, keep in mind, this is actually Tera typing Fairy and not fighting. When this was fighting, yeah, my opponent would be in a world of pain. And it would probably be the easiest 6-0 ever. But of course we're not. As you can see here, we do have an offensive team, a very hyper-offensive team, that I think Espathra is pretty good in the late game. So let's take a look at this replay. So obviously we see the Garchomp. It's pretty fat. It might have Dragon Tail, so you have to play Espathra really well in order to get that happening. And I also do love Gilmora as a partner for the Ostrich due to the fact that you're able to set up hazards very quickly. And man, Gilmora is definitely a really good partner, because it just puts so much pressure on your opponent, and if your opponent's checks and counters start getting weakened, Espathra is able to just annihilate the rest of the team. So we got rid of the Magnezone, and that's all we pretty much needed. All this extra turns of us just doing this nonsense pretty much assured victory, because that was the only Pokemon that can quote-unquote deal with Espathra and is able to just, you know, say goodbye to all of our checks, say goodbye to all of our counters, because now everyone else can just join in the fun. Goldango, man. Pretty good Pokemon right there. We get rid of the Iron Bundle. It definitely is faster without the speed boost from Espathra, so there you have it. That's all we needed, because now my opponent can't really do anything. And like I mentioned, I think Cyclizard is a really good partner for this Pokemon, as you can set up a substitute for free, kind of, if you're able to get rid of hazards on the field. And so there you go. Now you start seeing this Espathra getting up the substitute here on its own. And now you get the speed boost, so you now guaranteed to outspeed the Garchomp. And now I can just set up Calm Minds. And that's pretty much the end game plan for this Pokemon. I do think right off the bat, this Pokemon should probably be used as an end game or near end game win condition, as you're able to just blow through the opponent very quickly. Pause. So there you have the Dazzling Gleam, as it is stab boosted due to the Tera typing. And then my opponent is just starting to run out of options. Like, even though the Annihilate is right there, it terrestrializes the water typing. But look, it did 37. Wow, that's crazy, right? Well, what's even crazier is now the stored power is able to blow through. I don't really think the crit matters due to the fact that stored power is just at an incredible power right now. And then last but not least is the Dragapult. And there's a Sucker Punch that I mentioned that Dragapults may tend to have in this metagame, but doesn't matter if you're either fighting or fairy. And that's GG's to my opponent. So there you have it, a little showcase of what Espathra can really do. I think this Pokemon is going to be really good in OU. Do I think terrestrializing makes this Pokemon incredibly broken? I don't think so. I think there are ways to play around it. As I mentioned, this Pokemon does lack physical and special defense. So if you're able to do some chip damage to it, eventually you're going to be able to kill this Pokemon very easily. So that's all there is to this Pokemon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more content. See you guys on the next video. Peace.